this afternoon. And first, our featured speaker is coming up next. And I believe Porchia is there. She is there. Porchia Dees is here, and is a vertical who was born with HIV, living with HIV her entire life, and has become a vocal advocate for her fellow verticals who are often left out of long-term survivor discussions or have little or no research on their unique clinical and psychosocial health challenges. So Porchia Dees, please come up and join us for our Positively Aging project today.
I can't see them on the screen, but I got them right here too. Okay, hi guys. My name's Porchia. I've been working in the HIV direct services field for about 9 years now, as well as I also do advocacy work and been doing my advocacy work for like the past 9 years now too. And I've been working in many different capacities. I actually worked for Desert Age Project for a couple years as a health educator. And then that's how I met Jeff and Chris, because I started going to some of the heart meetings before I started. After that, I moved to working in LA County. I am going to be presenting, it's not on the screen yet, but so now I represent an organization called National Minority AIDS Council, NMAC. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. And I'm a part of their National HIV and Aging Advocacy Network. And it was developed out of their, they have a 50+ program. I applied for, it was developed out of their 2019 50+ scholars. And I ended up getting a scholarship to the USCHA conference in 2019, and they gave me the 50+ scholarship. It was interesting. I applied for that one because I felt like I didn't want to apply for the youth one because I wasn't a youth, you know, at the time. And I was like, hey, I'm aging. I've been aging with HIV, and for a long time, for probably longer than a lot of the 50+ population. And so like, you know, I'm a long-term survivor too. So, and so I was the only one who was under 50, a part of that 50+ scholars group that year. And then they started the network. And so in their efforts to be inclusive of all people aging with HIV and all long-term survivors, they allowed me to start a vertical special interest group with the network. And so I'm the chair of that special interest group. And I've been like making noise and advocating for us to be included in the long-term survivors, you know, conversation. I was born in '86. So yeah, I'll just get started with the presentation. And then I have like a slide. Jeff asked me to share a little bit about my story too, so I'll share that at the end. So yes, next. So what is a vertical transmission? It's transmission of HIV from mother to child during gestation, delivery, or breastfeeding. And it is the main way that children acquire HIV. Another way, because we say people living with HIV since birth or early childhood. Another way that a lot of children contracted HIV was through blood transfusion. And so they have similar experiences to us too as well, but it's a little bit different. Next. So that's what a vertical is. Who are verticals? So while vertical transmission is very preventable, it still occurs in the United States. In 2019, there were 32 infants who acquired HIV through vertical transmission. I mean, it was less than 1%, but it's still happening. And in other countries, other underdeveloped countries like Africa, it happens a lot more. In 2020, there were over 1 million people living with HIV, and approximately, 1,500 of those people were children under the age of 13. And then the CDC reports that same year that there's 12,300 verticals living with HIV who are over the age of 13 in the United States, some who are even approaching their middle ages like me. Next. How do I go next? There it goes. And so this is a chart or graph from the CDC, and it shows the prevalence of that 12,310 verticals over the age of 13 spread across the United States. And I think the most heavily populated state is New York. There's 2,440 verticals there. And I mean, we often get, you'll see once I start talking about our experiences, that after we age out of pediatric care, we kind of get lost in the system. And so, yeah, like that's my goal with the Vertical Special Interest group is to find us all. And what was your name again? Steve. He talked about the tribe, bringing them back to, so they can find our tribe. Go next. Okay, so our experience. We experience similar things that people experience aging with HIV, obviously stigma, isolation, but there's a few things that are like unique to our experience, and that is, there it goes. One thing that a lot of us always talk about is that transition from pediatric care to adult care, and how a lot of us fell out of care during that time, and it was really, really hard on us. I mean, growing older or becoming an adult in general, like just for anyone who's not, whether you're HIV positive or not, having to work, find a job, take care of adult responsibilities on your own is hard. But when you put HIV into the picture, more responsibility of our own care. So making our own appointments, following up with our providers, taking our medication on our own. For me, my aunt and uncle took legal guardianship of me, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that at the end. And when I was with them, they made me take my medicine like I didn't have, they were on me, they made all my appointments. I didn't have to deal with all of that, so, and then pediatric care is a lot different from adult HIV care. And we're spoiled at like Children's Hospital or something like that. And it's a lot more cold, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't think I have to explain it to you guys because I feel like you guys know, but it's a lot different. We don't have those wraparound support services like we had at Children's Hospital, where we were connected to a lot of the different camps or support groups or Ronald McDonald events, or we were just spoiled, and it's not like that in adult care. Building relationships with new providers, that was really, really heavy for me. My doctor, he was my pediatrician for 21 years of my life. He was like my second dad. And then I can't see him anymore. Like, I got to see this new doctor who doesn't know me, so a lot of us are we get lost in the system like that. Then learning how to negotiate new systems of care, the referral systems and everything is completely different. And then fewer support services, like I mentioned already. So how to adult, what do I need to do? Oh, I forgot to mention, as a part, so the Vertical Special Interest Group, we created Vertical's Strong and Healthy Living Training. And that's what I'm presenting to you, you guys right now, part of the Vertical Strong and Healthy Living Training. And we kind of adapted it off of the 50+ Strong and Healthy Living Training that NMAC already had. And we're going to present it for the first time at our workshop during the US Conference on AIDS this year in Puerto Rico, and I'm super excited. So you guys are seeing like a sneak peek of that right now. What we need to adult, right? We need, so to support a healthy lifestyle, which means meeting our needs and limiting stress and other mental health issues, we need a stable environment. So stable housing, employment, if possible, financial security, and transportation to the things that we need, such as medical care and et cetera. Fortunately for me, I had my aunt and uncle who were able to provide that stable environment for me and give me the care that I needed that my mother wasn't able to. But a lot of us, you know, for different people, they have different stories. So a lot of verticals didn't have that support. So we talk about a lot of that in the training. Go next. There it goes. This is another thing that's like unique to our experience. The loss of a loved one to HIV or AIDS, the AIDS-related illnesses. A lot of verticals lost, if not one or both of their parents to the pandemic. And so we have a lot of trauma behind that. Or not just parents, but brothers and sisters, their siblings as well. Yes, next slide. I'm sorry. I was trying to go to the next slide on here too. Uh-oh, did I do it right? Sorry, guys. Oh yeah, right here. Okay, vertical long-term survivors have been on ART for many years, and this can impact our health. A lot of the issues that come with aging with HIV that the 50+ population talks about, we experienced them at younger ages. I can't go next on here. Okay, thank you. So cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, liver disease, central nervous system disorder, renal or metabolic disorder, sorry, and osteoporosis. So because a lot of us were on treatment since birth, and for me, I was born in '86, so I was born 10 years before ARTs became available. So I was on a lot of clinical trials, and these are adult medications that they're giving to little kids or babies. So it affected our bodies more harsh, a lot stronger. So a lot of us have neurocognitive disorder. I call it HIV brain. It's called HAND. I guess that's the technical term for it. Or lipodystrophy. A lot of us experience that. Or advanced immunosuppression, because our immune system never got the chance to fully develop all the way because we were born with HIV. So a lot of us have, like, my T cells never been over, I don't think so, like 600. They've always been really low, so yeah. Our mental health, that's module 3. So people living with HIV of any age are twice as likely to experience depression more than people who don't have HIV. But approximately 30 to 50% of people with HIV develop HIV-associated neurocognitive disorder. That's what I was kind of just telling you guys about. And they experience a decline in brain function and movement skills. They also experience shifts in behavior and mood. And again, like I was saying, because a lot of us were on treatments before, some of the more harsh treatments before antiretroviral therapy came out, I know a lot of us experienced a lot of neurocognitive or central nervous system disorders because of the medication and probably the virus combined. So yeah, and not just that, I know quite a few verticals as well who already have kidney disease, like chronic kidney disease or stuff like that. I also put some stuff about substance use on here because, you know, substance use and mental health go hand in hand a lot of the time. When people don't, it's like a negative, unhealthy coping mechanism. A lot of people use drinking or drugs or weed or whatever to cope with their mental health issues. Oh, next, sorry. It's moving really slow. Okay, so trauma and PTSD. Because of a lot of the things that I mentioned in this presentation, a lot of us have have high levels of traumas that we're working through. And so a history of trauma can lead to post-traumatic stress disorder. People with PTSD have intense thoughts and feelings related to traumatic experiences long after the events took place. It's crazy because like I just got into therapy last year, and I don't know why it took me so long to get into therapy, given everything that I've been through. I felt like when I started working in the field, that was my therapy. And then I realized, no, like I also healers need healing too. A lot of like how I thought about things and how I was reacting to things. And so, yeah, I think it's important when we're talking to the verticals population or just people living with HIV in general, when people are talking to us to be trauma informed. I thought I put a slide on here about trauma informed care, but I didn't, but I mentioned it. So, and then I wanted to kind of end off the presentation on like a positive note. So, although we have experienced a lot of trauma, yes, although we have the verticals population have experienced or carry a lot of trauma with us, a lot of us have learned how to turn that trauma into wisdom, and it's called post-traumatic growth. I think Steve also had that on one of his slides from Oprah. She coined that term. And so post-traumatic growth is a concept describing this like sort of positive psychological change that happens with some individuals after experiencing like a life crisis or traumatic event. Next, sorry. And so module 4 is about staying healthy and how to do that. Adhering to antiretroviral treatment, obviously, staying in care, taking your medication. Next. We talk about adherence challenges on here. A lot of us, I know I took when I was in my early 20s, I lost my mom to AIDS-related illnesses my junior year of high school. And so for like I had a long bout with, with I guess growing or learning to cope with that. And so I kind of took like a medication vacation, a long one. And for many different reasons too, because I felt like after watching my mom die, I was gonna die anyway, so why take it? But then I was also going into college. I didn't want people to see my medicines or see me taking my medicines. So that's on here, you know, fear of people seeing or having to disclose. Your medication reminds you of your HIV status. I've heard that from a lot of people. Just forgetting. Sometimes people just forget because they're too busy. And then other things, other challenges in life that affect people's adherence to their medication. But getting in care and staying in care is important. Like I had to learn that the hard way. Polypharmacy. So that's something that I think is relevant to both the verticals population and older folks living with HIV, taking multiple medications for different things, and then, you know, worrying about drug interactions. Drug-on-drug interactions can make the drugs less effective and result in overdosing. So it's important to make sure that your doctor is aware of like all the different chronic illnesses that you're experiencing and the medicines you're taking if they interact well with each other. Lifestyle matters. Obviously, what you eat, not just taking your medication and going to your doctor's appointments, but I like to come at like living a healthy lifestyle from a holistic approach, because it's also about taking care of your mental health and your spiritual health as well. I'm a spiritual person. So maintaining a healthy diet, you are what you eat, right? Many conditions related to HIV, such as like diabetes or cardiovascular disease, can be caused in part by unhealthy diets, and also can be curbed by eating more healthy. And diet isn't a one size fits all because we all have different issues, right? Or different weight goals or health goals. So, but yeah, you guys get the point. Maintaining a healthy diet matters. And then being active, you know, exercising regularly, staying active so that as you get older, you won't, well, how can I say that? Like, you won't, like my dad, I fuss about him all the time because he's not able to move around very well anymore. And I think it's because he's been sedentary for his whole life. He hasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, that's very important, especially for us, because we already are taking medications that affect our bone health and everything like that. And then exercising your mind. I put things on here like try something new, get out, travel, enjoy nature, make sure you're staying social, which is kind of, the COVID pandemic kind of affected that, but there's still ways you can get around that. I want to just skim through all of these so I can get to the end because I still want, I don't know how much time I got. Am I good on time? Oh, okay. I want to leave, yes, I want to leave room for questions and So living our best lives. Age is just a number. Stay connected. We're all social animals. This is all filler slides. Okay. So it's possible to increase or build from scratch a social network. It takes work. It's not easy, but the rewards are huge. So this is kind of also connected to that, finding your tribe, finding support groups, getting connected to people who are going through the same thing that you're going through that can relate. And that's really important. The end of this part. Uh-oh. I'll say, okay, so this is, I put a slide that kind of like sums me up in a nutshell. So this picture right here with my two mothers, they are, so the one on the, is that on the left? That's my biological mom. Her name's Emma. And then Marianne is her younger sister. Marianne took legal guardianship of me. That's my aunt, but I call her mom because she raised me. She took legal guardianship of me when I was 2 months old, or what? Yeah, 2 months old. And my mom, she was addicted to drugs. That's, I believe, how she contracted HIV. And she was on drugs for most of my life, actually. So I wouldn't be the woman I am today without my aunt who took legal guardianship of me. I was born in San Bernardino, you guys, and at that time, there were no pediatric HIV medical care specialists in my area. It was only Dr. Zane. I don't know how well I don't know if you guys are familiar with San Bernardino area, but it was only Dr. Zane at the time. And they found Dr. Church, that was his name, all the way at Children's Hospital, Los Angeles. So my aunt had to drive me to my doctor's appointments all the way in LA. I had monthly appointments at the time, and sometimes I would go in there a lot more often than that because I got sick a lot more as a child. So again, I am so grateful for my aunt who took legal guardianship of me and provided that structure that I needed because my mom wasn't able to. My mom, I think she would still be here to this day if she wasn't, didn't battle. I think about the services that we have now for women living with HIV, and it's not a lot. And then back then in '86, I can only imagine it probably wasn't anything, So yeah, she tried to straighten up. She ended up getting her own apartment and getting off drugs and stopped going in and out of jail when I first went to high school. But I think by that time it was kind of too late. Her health had already started declining and she ended up passing. And that was really, really, really hard for me. I didn't know how to take that all in. And then, so you see, I got a lot of pictures of my aunt on there too. She also just recently passed away in 2018. And that was really hard for me too, even harder than my biological mom. But I don't know. I think I'm used to it. I kind of live my life in a way to honor both of my moms. The work that I do today is in honor of them. And so I hope that they are looking down on me and they're proud of me. I put my logo on there. It's called Positive Vibes Only. I'm actually going to school right now, Azusa Pacific, to get my master's in social work, and I want to become a licensed clinical social worker. And I want to provide therapy and have my own wellness clinic. And that's kind of what Positive Vibes Only is. It's the beginning of that. I'm not there yet, but it's the beginning of that. I make candles. I make my own soaps and stuff. I paint. Art is like my therapy. And so I don't know, you guys, you would have to like check out my website and read my bio and everything to see how that whole holistic coming at health and wellness from a holistic approach is where I'm going with Positive Vibes Only. I put diamonds on there because I feel like I'm a diamond in the rough. And then roses, the rose that grew from concrete. And then so that's all, y'all. That's my presentation. Thank you for having me, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Portia. We do have, I gotta say, your moms, and we're all very proud of you for all the amazing work you've done. I've watched you blossom, from a little girl on the cover of Pause magazine to all the amazing work you do today. So thank you for coming out. And we do have a few minutes for questions, if you'd like. So if people have any questions for Portia, feel free to come up to the mic. You have a couple of minutes. But if not, she'll be here afterwards. Oh yeah, go ahead. Hi, Chris.
First of all, I am so proud of you. I'm just sitting here in tears being a parent of a child who's born HIV positive too. And my baby went to Dr. Church in LA.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when you mentioned that, I was like, okay, hold it together. But I'm so proud of you, Portia, and you really are in your purpose right now for such a time as this.
Thank you.
And so, but I really liked how you spoke to and gave like behavior that I've witnessed that didn't have a name, like the neurocognitive,
Yeah.
that right there, really. So is there any treatment for that? Or do you know of any treatment in relationship to that?
All I can say is, so I know when you're not taking your medication and when your T cell count is really low, when you have AIDS, the virus can start going into your blood-brain barrier, into different organs, and affecting your neurocognitive, I guess, central nervous system more. So I would say for me, I think taking your medication and staying adherent to your medication kind of helps with that. But if you've experienced it already, like many of us have, or like as a child, I don't think it necessarily goes all the way away. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay.
Like I said, I just call it HIV brain. Like when my brain is fried or when I'm tired, you can tell sometimes that I'm like, my mind is all over the place and I'm loopy. I don't know how to explain it, but like, I don't think it goes away. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question all the way.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I can add a little more to that. So you're right. Once it happens, there's not a lot you can do. But you're absolutely true about the drugs. And so the first thing you do is go to a good HIV neurologist here in town. We have Harold Aronow, who works at Desert AIDS Project. I don't know if he was there when you were there in private practice. And also they do a lot of research at UCSD. But you can go in, get evaluated, and one of the things they can do is do a spinal tap to see if it's gotten through that blood-brain barrier you were talking about and into your brain. And if that's the case, there's certain medications. AZT, oddly, is one of them that really gets through there.
Okay.
Probably why it makes you feel so crappy, but it does get in there and kill the virus. So that's one thing to do. And then right now, it's just like aging and older folks and dementia. There's not a lot you can do,
Yeah.
but diet and exercise, getting plenty of sleep, not getting too stressed, all that stuff can help.
Helps.
So
Yeah. Thank
we're
you.
just like
Jeff.
everybody else like that. Thank you again, Portia.
Thank you, guys. Jeff.
That was an amazing story. Portia, thank you so much for being here today. At our 7th annual Positively Aging Project Conference. There are so many people that are joining us on Zoom today as well. And I come